Gamestork delivery initiated.
Hey, what's up guys? This is Jeff with Gamestork, and we're going to be asking a great question and talking about it today as to whether or not AAA ports from past systems, or maybe this is just older games, just ports of older games, are they significant, or if, you know, enough? Are they enough for us on the Nintendo Switch? Is it fair that that's what we get? And will those fill the void of the third-party games that we so desperately want for the Nintendo Switch? And ultimately, is this enough for the consumer in order to continue forward in purchasing and them having large sales of the Nintendo Switch? So the first thing we have to look at is the fact that the Nintendo Switch is selling off the charts. This thing is selling amazingly well. It's doing well. It's connecting with the consumer, and from this, you know, where we're looking at right now, it can't be debated. This thing's selling so well that it's probably going to outsell the lifespan, the entire lifespan sales of the Nintendo Wii U. Which, not saying that's very difficult to do, being 13 million, but the fact is we're going from a failure of a console that did have some good games on it. Now, let me tell you that. It did have some good games, but the console itself, as far as marketing and being purchased, was a failure. Not to say that the Wii U wasn't a good console, because it was a good console, and it offered something, you know, in me sitting playing Assassin's Creed in my chair in my living room, in my hands while my kids watch TV. That was unheard of at the time. The problem was I couldn't take it to the bathroom, couldn't take it outside and stuff like that, you know. So, but as far as connecting with people and selling these games and selling the consoles, the Wii U was an absolute failure. Now, looking at the Nintendo Switch, we see the exact opposite. The Switch seems to be exactly what they were shooting for with the Wii U, and they missed. Now, this time they've hit the three-pointer, okay? I mean, this is a swish, nothing but net shot that they've taken. That's absolutely wonderful. This console has connected so well with everyone, and the saying going around is the fact that Switch just makes gaming better, and it does. Switch makes games better. Switch makes everything better. So even the indie games that come over to the Nintendo Switch, they're selling better. They're being looked at with more respect. They're being looked at as much higher quality and things like that from other consoles. Why? Because being able to take this on the go at a very high quality, of a console quality, is a huge deal. So the Nintendo Switch, as far as its concept, as far as its sales and things like that, is a huge success. But we look at that, and we're also backing up. We're saying now all the big AAA games that are, you know, and by AAA games, of course, we have Mario plus Rabbids. We do have some other ones coming in. We have Monster Hunter Double Crawls coming to the Nintendo Switch. There is third-party help and development being done for the Nintendo Switch. But what I mean by this, and I'll use it in this way, because the general public or the general consumer, when they hear AAA third-party game, they think Call of Duty. You know, they think the new Resident Evil. They think just, you know, whatever it is, new Metal Gear Solid. They think the big games that everyone purchases, like Battlefield and things like that. So looking at those games, why aren't they on the console? Why aren't all the new big AAAs that are, you know, marketed, highly touted games coming to the console, like Darksiders 3? Well, this is a timing thing most of all, I believe. As you have seen in my videos in the past, I don't believe it's a power issue, because the games could be ported over to the Nintendo Switch if the developer really wanted to. Now, a lot of people are saying because of, you know, Overcooked and a couple of the games that have come and had rough starts, oh, the Switch can't even handle this, blah, 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 you know. But it's not that it can't handle that. It's that creating for a new console is something totally different entirely. Yes, it does run on Unreal Engine 4, but you also can't just port the exact copy that was made for a PS4 or an Xbox One over to the Nintendo Switch. There has to be adjustments made, and especially since you'll be undocking at some point and then, you know, putting it back into the dock in different power states. So that's one of those things that have to be taken into account. Now, the question in itself, now that we've looked at that and asked that big question about the big AAAs, well, they're not there. They're not there yet. So what we're being offered right now, or at least as an early indication of what's coming, is going to be a lot of third-party ports, which would be AAA games that aren't necessarily new, but are still really good. Like they're, man, you know, it looks like we're going to be getting a lot of Telltale games coming over to the Nintendo Switch. It's a possibility that something like Final Fantasy 12 might come over, maybe a port of the Zodiac Age or something like that. But is that enough? Is that enough for the Switch consumer to say that it has third-party support? My answer for you is pretty simple, and I'm just going to explain this after I say it, but if I just had a one-word answer, it would be yes. Yes, it is enough for now, okay? But that's the stipulation for now. This is one of those systems to where the Wii U's failures wasn't the lack of third party. You see that the Wii U had third party, but it didn't have first party, and there was a dryness of games. It just wasn't, there were good first party games, but it took them a long time to develop, long time to come out, and they didn't justify, because of the first party lineup, purchasing the console. People don't purchase Nintendo consoles to play Call of Duty. People purchase Nintendo consoles to play Legend of Zelda and Mario Kart and Super Mario and things like that. That's what the Nintendo console fan base really craves, and we would just like this to pull Super Nintendo and add the third party and kind of have everything on top of it. That's what I'm hoping for in the future. But as of right now, Nintendo's first party is extremely robust. Their first party lineup is amazing, and it looks like they're going to carry that all the way into 2019 with lots of stuff, lots of announcements, everything from Metroid, Yoshi, Kirby, like you name it. There's a ton of huge games coming, and it's really exciting. And the fact is, the Nintendo lineup is what is selling the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo lineup is why the sales are so great, because people purchase Nintendo for great Nintendo content because you can't get it anywhere else. Now, supplementally, looking at these games being ported over to the Nintendo Switch, say for instance Final Fantasy XII, that's what's on my mind, okay? So if Final Fantasy XII gets ported over to the Nintendo Switch, to me this would be huge. I think it would sell very well. All these games would, because on how many other consoles have you played Final Fantasy XII on the go? Zero, right? Especially considering it be a full console experience. Now, I bought the Vita when it came out hoping for a full console experience, and I didn't get one. I got a handheld experience that was a little bit further along than the other handhelds. It was an upgrade from the PSP, but the PS Vita was nowhere near as good as what the PSP was. Let's just face it. Now, as far as the Nintendo Switch, it is a console first and a portable second. So having this game come running on the console and being able to be carried on the go is huge. The implementation of this is giant. There are a ton of games that people have passed on, or maybe they want to replay really badly, and these big AAA ports that are coming are the solution to that. Like, for instance, I refused at the time, because of the reviews and things like that, to play the Telltale Batman series, because I didn't want to be let down. I've seen a lot of gameplay, I've seen a lot of videos, and I just didn't want to do that to myself. And it looks like it might be coming over to the Switch, and if it does, then I will give this a shot. Because no longer am I sitting at home and in one spot, not being able to move, not being able to leave, but I, at this point, am able to do what I have to do and also carry my console with me and play on the go. So big games like Final Fantasy XII, even Final Fantasy X, the Telltale games, you name it. This is a great opportunity to see all of these games on the go, and I think they'll sell really well. As we've seen, even Street Fighter 2 sold very well. All the indie games are selling really well on the Nintendo Switch, more so than PC, more so than everywhere else, because people have an appreciation for being able to game on the go. And it's really what we want. We want the portability, but we also want quality content as a home console, and the Nintendo Switch offers this. So the short answer to this would be yes. It is enough. It is enough for now. As long as the Nintendo first-party content keeps rolling, the Nintendo Switch is going to continue to sell. It's going to continue to do well. It's going to continue to rock the Casbah. It's going to continue to do everything that's doing right now up until, they quit putting out first-party content. But the thing is, as far as third-party is concerned, when money is offered, when they start seeing all these other companies like Capcom saying, wait a minute, they ported Street Fighter 2 again, and they sold 450,000 units plus, like, what? And they're looking at other stuff, and they're going, wait a second, maybe we ought to make something for the Switch. And guess what? It's going to happen. When the money's there, and it looks like the install base will be there very quickly, the attach rate for games is very high, then they're going to say, okay, we're going to put this on the Nintendo console, we'll port this over, and it's going to make us some money. And the bottom line is, it's not about graphics, it's all about money. As great as 4K is and the things like that, no games are going to be made for a long time to go solely in 4K. It's just the reality of it, because these companies are companies that want to make money, and they have to make a game that will be sold to the highest number of console owners or install bases, which is the regular PlayStation 4, not the PlayStation 4 Pro, also the Xbox One, and at this point looks like the Nintendo Switch. So they're going to be making games that can be, you know, adjusted to fit each one. Doesn't mean upscaling won't continue and that 4K won't be a huge deal, but I just don't think it's time fully for 4K, especially since TVs and things like that. But that's another discussion. You know, that's not this. The thing is, the third parties will come. I think the Nintendo Switch has the power to run most of these games, and a lot of the issues they run into they're not power related. Like even when they said Final Fantasy 15 was too large and it wouldn't run, that wasn't saying that the Nintendo Switch couldn't run that because of power. It was saying that right now, because of what's available for cartridges, this game would be too big to go into the cartridges, and it would be something that's a size issue and not necessarily a power issue. So there are things to work out there and to push over. I don't know, you know, if I was, just to be honest, being a person who is looking to purchase a terabyte mini SD card, or maybe even a 2 terabyte once it's available, I'm going to put that on my Switch, and I should be good to go to play anything that I want. And right now, you know, I have a 200 gig, which is, you know, getting the job done. There's plenty of space left on it. But in the future, you know, I hope size just isn't an issue, and we'll be able to get these games as, you know, we all really want them. But it looks like right now what we can expect within the next year is going to be a lot of AAA ports, maybe past ports or remakes or remasters, and that's completely fine. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Skyrim's coming out this year too, which is just going to be awesome. And the implementation of a lot of these games of motion controls and things like that is just going to be really good. And I promise you, when you start walking around and somebody sees you playing Skyrim right there on a Nintendo console on the go, they're going to say, wait, what? I got to get me one of those. Okay. Anyway, so to answer this question, I'd love to hear what you have to think. My opinion is only an opinion, okay? So I'd love to hear what you have to say about this, how you feel about this, and you can sound off in the comments below and let me know if you think that these ports of AAA titles coming over here that are remakes and remasters, are they enough to fill the third-party void on the Nintendo Switch? Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. Be sure to like and subscribe below if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time.
Gamestork, delivering news, reviews, and playthroughs like a newborn baby.